Welcome back to Scramble Drill Podcast, NFL Draft Recap. It happened. We had 3 days of NFL news. It was fantastic. It was awesome. I loved every second of it. And then Sunday, went down to Atlanta, saw a Braves game. So, Landon, it was a perfect 3-4 days for me. I don't know about you, but how was it for you?
You were in Atlanta watching baseball. I was in Cincinnati watching baseball.
You went to a Reds game. I thought you went to a Rangers game.
No, I went to the Reds game. Went to the Rangers last year. I met Johnny Bench and George Foster, which I doubt there's anyone who's listening to this podcast who's ever heard of George Foster. Maybe Johnny Bench, but two legends of the sport, so that was cool. But yeah, and now we're back here talking NFL draft, which, again, even in a quote-unquote down year, was a lot of fun and very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and we'll probably, like, full disclosure, obviously, Landon and I are amateurs at this, right? You and I, we are not professional film guys. We are not professional analysts. We do this for fun.
We're not grind the tape. I'm not breaking down Cardinal Tate's releases, right? I'm not breaking down these offensive tackles' hand placement. That's not what I do. That's just not what we do. So we're not going to pretend that we do that.
No. But we can also read the tea leaves and sort of tell you sort of what these mean for each team, where they're tracking, what the team's headspace looks like it is in. So that's kind of how we're going to go about our draft breakdown.
Right.
Obviously, there are players.
We like to look at what these picks mean for the team, what the team's thinking. Like, those are the things that we can talk about. I have this thing where I hate listening to people talking about what they obviously don't know what they're talking about. So I don't want that to be us. So we're just going to talk about what it means for the team, that kind of deal, and go from there, because that's something that we can pick up on much better.
And you and I are very, very heavily invested in fantasy football, obviously. So there are players we like. Yeah. There are players that we have definitely watched tape on for fantasy purposes, scouting for fantasy drafts. But we're not going to sit here and tell you, oh, well, you know, Jordan Tyson for the Saints, like this is what he's going to look like in the offense. This is how like he fits into the scheme.
No,
we don't know that. That's not our game. No.
I couldn't tell you what type of offense the Saints run.
We can tell you what the Saints are thinking.
Right. Let's do that. Let's get into that.
So that's what we're going to do. So also we're going to mainly focus on the first round. Yeah, we don't know who the 32nd pick in the fourth round is. We can't tell you anything about that pick, guys.
No.
So, mainly first round. So, here we go. Obviously, Universal 101, we knew this 6 months ago. Fernando Mendoza goes to the Raiders. Oddly enough, I feel like this is probably the least amount of time we'll spend on one, but because this has been we've known this was going to happen. This has been building. This is what the Raiders are setting up for.
Right. I mean, I think the only notable thing is that that there was never any discussion. A, that they didn't trade the pick, and B, that there was never any discussion that they were going to trade the pick. And in a draft where there was only one quarterback that was thought of in this realm, who knows what you could have traded that pick for, and they never even thought about it. So that speaks highly of what they think about this kid. A lot of the intangibles and stuff people like. I mean, he's kind of a nerd in interviews, but honestly, I kind of want my quarterback to be a nerd, if I'm being honest.
I did think it was
Tom
funny.
Brady, I mean, gets rough sometimes, but
I thought it was funny.
They like him.
They had like a little draft party or something afterwards, and Mendoza was at it, and he dropped an F-bomb, and everybody's like, my man spent 10 minutes with Max Crosby and is already dropping F-bombs. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. The Raiders will do it to you. The Raiders will do that.
That happens.
So it'll be interesting to see if their plan is to start in week one or go with Kirk for a little bit. I would hope they're planning to start in week one, but we'll see.
Yeah. I think there's a world where, and I agree, I don't think this should be the world necessarily they go with, but I think there's a chance that it is Kirk week one, and you're sort of looking at like a Penix situation with the Falcons, to where we're going to roll Kirk out there until it's ugly, and then we're going to put him in.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. That's maybe reading a little bit too much into it, but they got a good quarterback room if nothing else. You've got your guy for the future. They're set. They build around him. They spent a lot of money in free agency to put pieces around him, which is great. They did a lot in free agency, so I like the situation he's going into. I like the coach. I like the money they spent. I like that they're focusing on him. Yep. Okay. Jets pick at 2, and we'll probably go ahead and just mention all 3 picks they made, because they made 3 first-round picks, which is crazy. The Jets were kind of aggressive, and you mentioned it before, but I think I agree. I kind of like it. I kind of like where they were going.
I mean, at a certain point, we gotta get some players. We gotta get some guys on the roster who you feel good about. The thing I love, so the debate at 2 was kind of everybody thought the best defensive player was Arvell Reese, and the other option was David Bailey. Obviously, they go with David Bailey at 2. I love it for the Jets because I flatly do not trust them with almost any matter, Ben. I just don't trust the Jets. David Bailey is at least a guy you know where to play him. And Arvell Reese is a guy, is he going to play edge? He plays a lot of off-ball linebacker. We'll talk about that when we get to the Giants. But it was a guy that they were going to have to figure out the best way to use him and put him in positions to have success. I like them just going with David Bailey. Just go with the guy who you don't have to get creative with. You line him up in the 5 technique and the 7 technique, and you tell him to go get the quarterback, and that's it. And I love that. I like that they took the decision out of their own hands, if you will, and that's always good if you're the Jets. You want to make as few decisions as you can if you're the New York Jets.
That is, truer words have never been spoken. I mean, we're out here flat out giving a pass to Robert Saleh, who had a horrible run with the Jets, and we're like, well, it was the Jets, so it really wasn't Robert Saleh's fault.
Yeah,
that's how bad the Jets were.
Right. I have a lot of confidence that whatever is the best path for Arvell Reese, they would have picked the worst one. So I like getting David Bailey. He's just telling him to get after the quarterback, and hopefully he can do that. And if you have a guy that can do that, it changes your whole team. So, you hope that's what they get.
Yeah, I mean, this is the organization that said, let's get our best defensive player, 2 best defensive players. Let's get them out of there this offseason. But we are going to hold on to dear life to Breece Hall. That's where this team is at. So it makes no sense. But I like the pick of David Bailey. They already had the pick at 16 from the Colts, where they took Kenyon Sadiq, who he's another one. He's just a freak. He's an absolute he's
freak.
He's not exactly Kyle Pitts' type of freak. I don't know. Kyle Pitts was obviously a freak, but he was more long, lanky, that kind of stuff. Kenyon Sadiq is just nuts, crazy athlete.
Yeah, so they go out there and they bring in Sadiq, and we'll go ahead and lump in Omar Cooper as well,
who they traded back up to get him.
You have to have players that can make things happen on offense. They have Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. I will say it again. Garrett Wilson led their team in receiving yards last year, didn't play after week 6. They just had nothing. And I think, Mason Taylor showed some flashes last year, but he's not a guy that you feel bad about replacing, quote unquote. He's still going to be on the field some. But you got an opportunity to get the best tight end, hands down, in the draft, especially receiving wise, and bringing a guy in Omar Cooper that can complement Garrett Wilson. I like it. It doesn't mean it's going to work because, who knows? Maybe Geno is washed. And if Geno is washed, then none of this matters. But at least it's going to be stable. And even if they're not good this year, you're going to bring in a quarterback next year with somebody to throw to. So
yeah, he's going to be walking into decent weapons. Decent weapons next year.
Decent
worst
weapons.
Case scenario, you're going to bring in a top 5 quarterback to Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper, Kenyon Sadiq, and Breece Hall. That's not bad.
Assuming
that's
you can get Breece Hall extended.
Yeah, which I know they're working towards, but let's go ahead and say they do.
Right.
That's actually above average weapons, I would venture to say, assuming Cooper and Sadiq work.
Yeah. So I like it. I mean, it's hard to say you don't like it when you bring in 3 first-round picks. That's exciting for any team. I don't care who you are, who you're a fan of, even though it's the Jets. Like 3 first-round picks is exciting. So I'm hoping this isn't the happiest day of the year for the Jets, but I'm afraid it still might be.
It is,
depending on what Geno can give you. Yeah,
it is, but it's one of those situations where, like, the Jets already knew they weren't going to be good this year, so like it gives them a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Is that light fake? Is it, wishing upon wish? Maybe, because it's the Jets. We have to say it again. It is the Jets. But 2-3 years down the road, is this good? As of right now, yes. As of right now, we're looking in the right direction. Yeah. So I like the day New York had. This pick has gotten, I don't know how much you've been locked into it. I feel like I've seen this getting a lot of hate of Jeremiah Love at pick 3 to the Cardinals. People do not like this.
I was scratching my head at first. And then the more I thought about it, this is the best pick in the draft, possibly. And I'll tell you why. One, he's good. Like, he's just the highest floor player probably in the draft. Even though you got a little bit of a crowded room, even though whatever, he's going to be a good player. The problem everybody's saying is like, oh man, running backs, they're the type of thing that they don't make you good, right? They don't make good team or bad teams good. They make good teams great. That's the type of thing. And the Cardinals are not a good team. So how much winning this year does this pick affect? Almost none. Like maybe they win one more game, which you could have got probably more winning value this year out of Arvell Reese or maybe a tackle or something like that. But Ben, that's why it's so good. They get a great player.
Yeah.
And they're still going to pick in the top of the draft next year when you could actually get a quarterback next year. They couldn't get a quarterback this year. So you get a player is going to be great, or at least good, probably great. And then next year, you're still going to get to pick high. You're not going to go out there and somehow stumble into 7 wins because of this guy and then not get a quarterback next year either. Next year, you're going to bring in a quarterback and you're going to have Jeremiah Love and hopefully, Trey McBride and Marvin Harris Jr. continue to get better and whatever. I like it for that reason. Now, it sucks for this year because I don't think it changes their outlook much. But for the Cardinals as a whole, I actually like it. I think it was a good move.
No, I do. I had a few people in group chats I was in. They're like, why in the world would they pick a running back? I'm like, dude, I was kind of the same, but like you have a team that's this bad in Arizona. They're not, like, he doesn't add wins to the book. Like, he can have a great season and they win 3 games. Like, he that's what could happen. But he's also the best player on the board. Like, objectively, team build aside, he was the best player. Maybe not the most impactful. That's probably like somebody from Landon Mendoza or Avril Reese. But all positions equal, he was the best. So they took the best player on the board.
Yeah. So I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. They're not going to be that good, but hopefully they're in a spot next year where they can bring in a quarterback to a situation that is not dead on arrival. That's the best case scenario for the Cardinals, especially in that division.
It's the same thing the Jets just did. Could they get a quarterback? No. Obviously, the Raiders were holding on to that for dear life. But you put pieces in there for next year and years down the road.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Yeah.
Carnell Tate at pick 4 to the Titans. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I do. I think, I don't know if Carnell Tate is that guy. I don't know if he's like a top 4 receiver in the draft type player. For Tennessee's sake, you hope he is. I thought Saleh might want to try to get, Arvell Reese is sitting there. I mean, he had his pick of anybody any defensive player he wanted other than Bailey, and he just goes to Arvell Reese. I think, look, man, it's this simple. If your quarterback doesn't work, you don't work. Your team doesn't work. So you got to try to get this roster in a place where it's going to work for Cam Ward, and they do that. I'm not going to hate on them for that because this pick isn't about Carnell Tate. This pick is about Cam Ward, and I'm fine with the team going all in and saying, "Hey, man, we got to make this work." Because if Ward doesn't go, we don't go.
And that is the reason I like the pick. That's the sole reason I like it. I like Carnell Tate. I think he's a good talent. I think he's a good receiver. People will argue comparing, this year, past few years, wide receiver draft classes, and then wide receiver draft classes, in 2027. They're like, really isn't that, or at least as strong? They're like, is there a top 5 receiver in it? I don't care. It doesn't matter. I like it because they are choosing Cam Ward. They are putting pieces around Cam Ward. They want and need Cam Ward to succeed. So that's the sole reason I like the pick.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a person that if there are either very few holes on your roster or very many holes on your roster, if you're following one of those camps where you have a complete team or if you have a team that's bereft of talent, I am a fan of, if you have a defensive coach, picking offensive players with your high draft picks, and if you have an offensive coach, picking defensive players with your high draft picks, and trusting yourself to hit on players in the 3rd and 4th round. And that's what Saleh did. Like, I'm hoping Saleh says, look, I think I can take a 3rd round guy and get 2nd round production out of him. So let's use our high draft capital on the offensive side and try to make it work, man. And I hope it does.
And he's got Brian Dable. Brian Dable, obviously, really, really good offensive coach. So
Yep.
I like Carnell Tate. I like the whole situation they're walking into. I think it's good.
Yep.
Giants had a pretty impactful draft.
Yeah.
They go Arvell Reese at pick 5, and they have another top 10 pick where they took Francis. I'm not even going to try to say his last name, but he's an offensive lineman.
Yeah. Some big Samoan joker who just mauls people. Yeah, this is this is the dream if you're the Giants. This was probably the best player still on the board. Now again, there is a little bit of where are you going to play him? The Giants obviously they already had 3 pass rushers. So
that was the confusing part
Reese is a guy
to me.
Where
is not passing on Arvell Reese.
So,
obviously he's great, but they that was a position that they just have excess in.
Well, they have excess in edges. Arvell Reese can play edge, and I think people were just putting him at edge because that's where you get the biggest bang for your buck. Like, if you have a top 5 edge, that is just more valuable than any other top 5 place you can play. That is so much more valuable than a top 5 inside linebacker or Sam linebacker or whatever. He could do that, though. Like, if they think he's able to do that, they can have 2 pass rushers and him on the field at the same time. I don't know what their plans are. Again, he is a player. There's a little Isaiah Simmons there a few years ago. Now, Isaiah Simmons was like linebacker and safety. He's like edge and linebacker, where you do have to get a little creative. But my goodness, the way people talk about the talent is just off the charts. And I think they probably had another plan in mind, assuming he wasn't going to be there. And when he was there, they were just like, fine, we'll take him and we'll figure it out later. Could this open a door for them to trade a pass rusher? Maybe, but he's just so talented. They probably felt like they had to take him.
Yeah, and like I said, it is interesting just because they have a wealth of guys there, but as versatile as he is, I like it. So we'll see. I hope they trade one. That'd be great for
maybe.
A lot of other teams. They got
maybe
Abdul Carter, who to their credit, not credit, but Abdul Carter hasn't quite panned out yet. Still certainly could, but he wasn't what they thought he would be year
very
one.
well could.
Kayvon Thibodeau is good, but he's another one. He's just not quite what we were expecting. Like, we were expecting the Giants to have one of the most vicious pass rushers in the NFL, and they just didn't. Like, Brian Burns is excellent.
Yeah.
Brian Burns is great. He's proven. He's awesome. No questions there. But Carter and Thibodeau still haven't reached full potential yet. So maybe there's that aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And, to get to address the offensive line with Jackson Darts, obviously, they're all in on Jackson Dart.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, it's interesting. We can have a conversation all day long if we want to about Jackson
Have to
Dart
be.
long
They have
term,
to
but
be.
they seem sold.
Why not? Why not go all in this year? Like I would so rather a team go all in and just see, you know, especially it being the first year of Harbaugh, and he's got to figure out if this is the guy. So let's do it. I mean, you bring in this offensive tackle out of Miami, and a lot of people, you know, had him as the number 1 tackle in the class. So that's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. You build there, and if you hit on tackle, that changes everything. It's like a pass rusher on defense. You hit on tackle, it changes everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, overall, just a phenomenal draft for the Giants. Great first round. If we were giving out grades, they would get an A. Let's say that they would get an A.
You have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. This one's going to be fun to talk about because this one, obviously, everybody going into the league was excited. You know, the Chiefs have a top 10 pick, you know, as great as they are. Then they trade up to 6, which really had people like, oh my gosh, they're trading up. They're going to take Jordan Tyson or somebody like that. And they trade up and they get a quarter Mansour Delaney from LSU.
Yeah.
Who is good.
Seems
good, but
yeah.
Did they need to move up to get him is people's question.
Yeah, it seems they did. It really seems it feels like they knew the Saints were taking him. That's what it seems like. I've seen some reporting that leans that way, where they knew they were going to have to go up to Cleveland or Washington. I wish they would have come up to us because we needed picks, but whatever. And they said, look, they must just think this is the guy. And look, whatever Mel Kiper or Todd McShay or any of these draft guys said, I trust the Chiefs front office when looking at corners more than maybe anyone in the whole world, because they have crushed the secondary recently. Just crushed it. And so they must have just said, hey, man, this guy is a lot better than every other corner. Now, that might not be the case. They may be wrong, but their track record says we should trust them. And they had it. They had some intel. They had something that the Saints were going to take him at 8. That is the reporting, at least. And they did what they had to do. And they gave up a lot. They gave up a 3rd and a 5th, which is a haul. A haul to go up. And the Browns took that draft capital and later traded up to get somebody, if I remember, in the 2nd round. But they gave up a 3rd and a 5th to move up 3 spots. But they got their guy. And I think we have to trust
to say no if
the Chiefs. Yeah. I think we have to just, even if you don't like Delore or Delane, you have to trust the Chiefs that they know what they're talking about. Like, they've earned that when it comes to cornerbacks.
And the Chiefs keep doing that. Like, they'll keep letting the cornerbacks walk, and they'll just draft another who they make a great cornerback.
Yeah. Right. You saw it with L'Jarius Sneed. We saw it with Tre'Davious Ward years ago, and then McDuffie this year. Like, they just keep doing it. So I trust them when it comes to corners, and so this is probably going to be a really good pick.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's one that people are going to question a lot, but it's a front office that I don't question a lot. So you can say what you want to say, but we're gonna find out in the regular season.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's where I'm at with them. So on to your Washington Commanders. Y'all took a linebacker, Sonny Styles. Again, I'm not a film guy. I knew who Sonny Styles was. I know he's a good linebacker from Ohio State, but you, I guess, as the Commanders fan, can more tell me where he fits in there.
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. Once we got to this point, Adam Peters said, now it's hard to take what a GM says at face value, but he said he was willing to trade down and the phone was silent. Like, they were just not getting offers to come up to 7. So once you're in that spot, you're on the clock at 7, nobody's coming up. It was pretty simple to me. It was going to be Styles or Downs. They had their pick. It was going to be Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs. And look, man, Dan Quinn knows a lot more about defense than I do. Adam Peters knows a lot more about picking players than I do. I'm just going to trust him. I text our buddy in our fantasy league who's an Ohio State fan with this scenario Thursday morning. I said, look, if both of these guys are there, who do I want? We both kind of agreed I would rather have Downs. I just think he just seems like such a high floor player. And Styles has a little bit of Isaiah Simmons in him too, where he played safety for a long time. They've moved him to a linebacker, but he's just a physical freak. Like
he's
guys
nuts.
in the top 10 typically don't do a whole lot at the combine. He did it because he said, I know I'm going to break all the records. And he set like a high, whatever combine.
Man, he ran a 4.40 and he's got a 43-inch vertical leap. Like that's a freaking wide receiver. And this guy's 244 pounds.
So, yeah. He's a big boy. So, look, Dan Quinn, I'm just going to trust that they know what they're talking about. Washington had to get younger, had to get faster, and certainly you do with this guy because he's very young. He wore the green dot at Ohio State last year, and they had a bunch of guys go early in this draft, and he was the captain. He called the plays, or at least that's what someone was reporting that people in Washington I was watching. I wasn't watching Ohio State tape to see who it was, but they reported he wore the green dot. So maybe he does that in short order in Washington. I don't know. This was a take your medicine draft for Washington, though. They didn't have a second or fourth round pick because of the Laremy Tunsil trade, which is fine because he was a great player and we extended him and all that. But we didn't have the capital to go up and get anybody. And so we just stayed pat at every pick. They made 0 trades this year, which they made a ton last year, so that was kind of weird. But they just took their medicine and tried to take the best player who was available each draft. And I think they did a decent job for only having 5 picks, and I hope Sonny Styles is the right guy.
Yeah, I hope so too. We discussed it at length on this podcast. I like Jaden Daniels. Obviously, you do. So I want to see the Commanders do well, and getting Jaden Daniels help on defense to keep him on the field, never a bad idea.
Again, man, they just had no good players, and they've signed like 5 defensive starters and drafted this guy. So it can't be worse.
It's got to help.
I'll tell you that. It cannot be worse.
It's got to help.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Jordan Tyson, wide receiver from Arizona, goes to the Saints.
Yep.
Another one that seems pretty clear what they're doing. I know there was talk of delaying the corner. They were looking at him. But Tyler Shuck is the guy from everything that I see. It is the Tyler Shuck show in New Orleans. You already had Chris Olave, who they're talking about extending. And obviously Chris Olave is a great receiver. He's awesome. And now you bring in Tyson, you bring in Travis Etienne in free agency. They're in on him. This is what the Saints want.
Yeah, I mean, I think they probably think they can win that division, and why wouldn't you think so? I mean, this is a guy.
Not that hard.
Yeah, I mean, he suffered some injuries. He tore his ACL, broke his collarbone. Like, he had some injuries in college, but people really like the talent. And the Saints, like, they had Kamara, and that was it. Olave, and that was it at receiver. Remember, they let Shaheed go this year. Like, it was just slim pickings there. So you got to have people to catch passes. You know, he's a pretty big for a receiver, 6'2", 200 pounds. Like, you really like that. That pairs nicely with Olave and what he does. So I like it for the Saints. I like it for Tyler Shuck, and maybe he can really establish himself in year 2.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, it's as an outsider, like you kind of just brush Tyler Shuck's season under the rug, like didn't really pay much attention to it. But there's some conversations that need to be had soon about him, because clearly the Saints love him. Is all I can read from everything. Is the Saints think this is the guy. So we'll see. We'll just see. We already talked about Magula, or the Giants pick at 10, which they got from Cincinnati.
Yeah, Spencer Fanu.
Yeah,
Fanu.
Cincinnati traded that pick out. So Cincinnati addressed defense. They're fine in the first round. You're not going to like this, but a team that actually did have a good draft.
Spencer Fanu from Cleveland.
Oh, shoot. Gosh, I skipped this to pick 10. But yeah.
The big thing for Cleveland is they made a smart trade. Say what you will about Cleveland, laughing stock, whatever. They made a smart trade. They traded down 3 spots. I don't know if they wanted – I don't know who they wanted, but they traded down 3 spots, add that 3rd and 5th round pick, add that capital, which they then used to go up and get somebody later, and they get who they thought was the best tackle in the draft. Will he turn out to be that? I don't know, but they picked him first. They had their pick of any tackle, and a lot of tackles went in this first round, and they picked him. So I like it. And then they also bring in Casey Concepcion. Did you watch him any in college?
I did watch him some. I knew he was good at North Carolina, South Carolina. Almost got him in the transfer portal. I was really upset when we didn't. And then, obviously he was awesome at Texas A&M. I hate it for fantasy reasons because, I mean, it's Cleveland. They'll find a way to be boring on offense. But Casey Concepcion is an extremely exciting receiver to watch. Dude,
you look at him. He's tiny, 5'11". He is stout. I mean, he's almost 200 pounds at 5'11", but he looks...
Luther Burden is my comp for him. Like, that's what he looks like. Luther Burden, DJ Moore type of receiver.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm not a big college football fan. I don't watch a ton, but I watched the UNC versus NC State game, his last game there. We had no answers. I mean, nothing we could do. This kid makes plays. He makes plays. So we'll see what he does in Cleveland, but he's just somebody that he doesn't strike me as somebody who isn't going to be able to keep up with the NFL physicality and speed. He just makes plays.
Yeah. No, he's very, very good. I hate it for fantasy because I want to be able to, and obviously still can, but like I want to be able to draft him with confidence, but it's just Cleveland, so that sucks. But no, he is a difference maker on offense.
Yeah. It's Cleveland.
The Cowboys actually had a decent first round too.
Oh, I wanted to throw up.
And I know you're not going to like that, but they really did. They got one of the best players in the draft at pick 11, similar to, I'm not saying he's Micah Parsons, but like how they did with Parsons, where they were sitting there and this guy just falls into their lap, basically. Yeah, so that was great. We talked about Caleb Downs when we talked about Sonny Styles, but I mean, there's no way to get around. He's the best safety in this draft class and a really, really, really good prospect. And then they also addressed pass rusher with Malachi Lawrence from UCF. Again, I don't know a ton about Malachi Lawrence, but I know they needed a pass rusher. And they addressed that.
And they obviously we've talked about them in the same vein as the Bengals, where it's like, their offense is great, defense is terrible, and I have not heard every commentator I've heard talk about Caleb Downs says, yeah, he's a little small. Don't worry about it. He knows where the ball's going to go. He's a football savant, essentially. He just makes plays. You should take him. Everybody has been screaming, top 10 pick, top 10 pick, top 10 pick. And I guess the NFL really got scared of his size. I don't know, but he falls to 11, and I got to imagine this guy's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler for Dallas, and it makes me want to throw up because I wanted him. They got him, made a smart move, only waited, only moved up one spot, and you do this, and man, good for them, but I am not excited about it.
No, you don't like that as a other fan because they had a good draft.
I do not.
They had a very good draft.
Yeah, they did. Say what you want about Jerry and Dallas and how he mishandles some things at times. He does good in the first round.
Contracts are the big thing that you
on these first
knock on Jerry. Is like,
yes,
Jerry cannot handle a contract situation, but the dude can draft. Like, the team didn't get to where it is because he can't draft.
Right. I mean, you go through it. CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, this guy, like, you look at all the offensive linemen he took in like the early 2010s. Like, he does hit on draft picks. He does.
I mean, heck, he hit on Dak in the 4th round. Is that when Dak was drafted? 3rd round?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he knows what he's doing in these situations. So, which sucks if you are a fan of a different team in the in the division, because they got better and they addressed real needs.
They did.
So if they get George Pickens' situation figured out, man, if these defensive players hit, I don't want to say they could win a division, but they could win that division.
They have a chance. They're alive. They are alive.
Yeah.
So
another one I don't know a ton about the player, but I know about the team is the Miami Dolphins pick offensive tackle Caden Proctor. I don't know a ton about Proctor, but Miami just needs players wherever they can get them. They trade down. They made several moves in the draft. Which they're a team, they just need players. They just need players.
Yeah.
So that's what they did.
And offensive tackle, you're never going to get me to say offensive tackle's a bad pick in the first one. Even if you have two offensive tackles, you take one, I'm fine with it. Like, that's just, you can't have enough. If you have too many, play one of them at guard, and if the tackle gets hurt, bump him to tackle. Like, you can just never have too many. So if this guy hits, this is a great pick for Miami.
Yeah. The shock of the draft was Ty Simpson was a first-round quarterback, which I was a little surprised by, and then it was the Rams taking him, which I get and also don't get.
Yeah.
Because you've got Matthew Stafford doesn't have much time left, but I thought they were trying to win a Super Bowl.
I hated this. Like, for me to retroactively like this pick, Ty Simpson needs to be a top 8 quarterback in the league once he's the starter and a perennial Pro Bowler and, like, win a Super Bowl for me to like this pick. Because I feel like the Rams, man, there was the joke going around because it was kind of true years ago, F them picks, because they were just trading them for players. And it worked out. They won a Super Bowl, and they've built another great contender. Dude, they're still doing it. They're just doing it in a different way. They're still in the F them picks mode. It just looks different now. Last year, they traded their first-round pick for this pick. This year, they traded their first-round pick for a player, which I loved, and they use their first-round pick. They said, F this pick too. They said, we're going to take a guy we hope doesn't play for 3 years. And I think it's too cute. I think they're getting too cute. They're trying to, I don't know. People are saying, because of McVay's reaction, he didn't want this or whatever. I can't imagine that's the case. I can't imagine they made this pick if McVay really didn't want it. I think he wanted this, and I think they're getting too cute, man.
Yeah. He did have a really weird reaction to it, though. If you did watch, it was kind of odd.
He did have a weird reaction. But I mean, right after him, an offensive guard goes. Ruben Bain had slid a little bit. He goes. There's a defensive tackle. There's offensive tackles. I mean, there's Mekhi Limit. There's good players that went right after him. This could be the reason they don't win the Super Bowl this year. You could argue them trading their first-round pick last year was the reason they didn't win a Super Bowl. Who knows? Maybe if they would have drafted a player last year that really helped them somewhere, they might have got past Seattle. Who knows? They
could have had James
Pierce. I
Pierce.
don't like this team's philosophy. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they beat Seattle last year if they have James Pierce. And I don't know. I do not like this team's philosophy when it comes to the first round. Everything else, they're flawless. They knock out of the park. The way they treat the first round, man. I love trading number 29 for McDuffie, but the way they did this, he's got to be really, really, really good and win a Super Bowl for this to matter.
Yeah. And they need to win it this year, too. Like, if they win it this year and Stafford retires, maybe we don't think about it that much.
If they win it this year, awesome pick. Awesome pick. If they win it this year, I just feel like they treated this like they have no holes to fill. And that's just not true. They could get better. Ruben Bain would have made them better. Like, I feel like this could. There's a real possibility. There's a real possibility they do not win the Super Bowl this year, and could have if they would have drafted someone to help them. And that's just leaves a terrible taste in my mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. Hey, I mean, you're looking like the Falcons did a few years ago, and I get it. Kirk didn't pan out, but when you're in the middle of a Super Bowl window, and gosh, he's the guy that the pass rusher from Alabama. Why can't I think of his name? He was on the board. Atlanta needed a pass rusher right after they paid Kirk Cousins, and you take Michael Penix, and then I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I don't love it.
Yeah, and. No, and I don't know. But that was like, people were scratching their head with Atlanta at that time, and Atlanta was like,
we were on the fringe.
Maybe if a lot of things could go right, Yeah, if a lot of things go right, maybe they could be in that second tier of contenders. The Rams are an A1 contender right now. Like, they might be the favorite. I'm not a betting odds guy, but they might be the favorite right now. I don't know. And you just, man, you had a chance. You had a chance. Even trading down and either taking Simpson later and adding capital or something. I don't know. Maybe they had intel that somebody else was going to take him, but I don't like it.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. The Ravens used one of the picks that they had traded Max Crosby for. They take an offensive guard, which they needed.
Yeah.
And you got to get Trey Hendrickson instead. So I guess good on the Ravens.
Again, yet another. At this point, there have been four offensive linemen taken, 3 of them Samoan, Hawaiian, whatever. Those are just the best players. I mean, we all know it at this point. Those are just the best linemen. So
you're not wrong.
I like that. Anytime I see a name I have a hard time pronouncing, I like it.
Yeah.
Probably going to be good.
That guy, you're not getting past him. Let's say that.
No, you're not moving him. You're not moving him. So
okay. We need to move on. We're taking more time than I thought we would. Ruben Bain. I was worried at this pick. I thought that that the Goblin in the Tampa Bay head would tell him to take another receiver, but they didn't. They took Ruben Bain, which is a good pick.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
That would have been funny.
Hey man, I will say, like, you talk about measurables and like, arm length obviously is the big thing for him. And I was like, is it that big of a deal? Dude, he was in the first percentile for arm length for edges in the NFL. The first percentile. I don't love that. So I get why he fell, but if it works out, I mean, they're going to get a really good player. So who knows?
Yep. We already talked about Sadiq. Blake Miller, offensive tackle from Clemson, goes to the Lions, which the Lions' offensive line was not what it was in years past. So I'm fine with it.
You know what I like about Blake Miller? He's not retired, which is better than what I can say for a lot of the offensive line for the Lions. So, they needed this. They've had multiple guys retire recently, and it kills you. So they needed this.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how things go for them. They still got good team, good players. They're not the Lions they were 2 years ago, but they need to build back up a little bit, and starting in the trenches is we know Dan Campbell's going to like that.
Yeah.
Caleb Banks, defensive tackle from Florida, goes to the Vikings. I don't know a ton about this guy, but the Vikings having a good defense seems scary.
I think people thought it was a little bit of a reach, but I always like it, and it doesn't always work out. It's not a perfect science, but I like it when a team takes the first of the position in the draft. There had not been a defensive tackle taken. They had their pick of whoever they wanted, and they wanted this guy. And so that means they liked it. They saw something they liked, and, sometimes the draft analysts get it wrong, and this isn't a reach, and he'll be a really good player. So that's the hope if you're a Vikings fan, obviously.
Yeah. I hope he is. I have no issues with the Vikings. I like the Vikings, so I'd like to see him work out. The Carolina Panthers take an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
He's big. He's tall. He's from Georgia.
They just had to. They had to.
Yeah.
And, man, there's a lot of offensive tackles that went in this first round.
Yeah, big offensive tackles.
This is what, like the 6th already?
Yeah.
Yeah. They had to do it. You give Bryce the 5th-year option, and he's the type of guy with his size, every quarterback would love a great offensive line, right? But it's even a bigger deal for Bryce Young than it is for, Josh Allen. Like, he's not mobile. He's not big. You got to keep people off of him. And, this was a pick. A lot of Panthers fans around me, and this kind of seemed like this is what they wanted. Somebody to block. Guard, tackle, whatever.
It's a boring pick, but it's a smart pick.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting situations, I guess, in the NFL was pick 20, Mekhi Lemon. who the Steelers were on the phone with telling him they were going to draft him. And then it seems like, I guess, Howie Roseman knew that. So he jumped up.
Oh, I had not seen that.
You didn't see that? Yeah, the Steelers were literally on the phone with him. Like saying, because I guess the Steelers must have known who was right ahead of them, wasn't going to take him, so they were going to take him. And then Philly jumps up, grabs him, and it was crazy to see the whole situation out. They were like, hold up. This Philadelphia just jumped up and grabbed you. Like, it was, just go watch it. It was really, really weird. But yeah.
Okay.
Sucks for Steelers because I guess that's the guy they wanted and couldn't do it. But then again, maybe they should have traded up if they wanted him really bad. So A.J. Brown is out the door fully, which that's been the report anyway. But here's the replacement.
Yeah. I just don't. I like this kid. Like, this was the guy I thought was the best receiver in the draft. Just watching everything. His
tape looks better, at least.
Man, his body control, run after catch. I mean, he's a good player. He's really good. He's going to make them a lot better. But the A.J. Brown thing, like, here's the weird part about it. Now they've got to trade him.
Yeah, no, he's out. He is out the door.
They do. He's out the door, but it's not even that. It's not even like, oh, we expect him to be traded. There's no expecting. You got to trade him now. And, we'll see if that affects, like, negotiations with other teams. I don't know, but, like, there's no way they can bring A.J. Brown back at this point. And I would assume other teams know that. I know there's reporting about the Patriots, 28 first. I've seen it all, but, like, I don't know. What if another team swoops in and is like, they still got over a month. I don't know if it's done to the Patriots. Maybe it is. I don't know, but it's just, I've never seen a situation where you have to trade a player so bad.
Yeah. And you have to trade this player and you're still, I don't know, you're still stuck with Jalen Hurts. So and Mekhi Lemon, I like Mekhi Lemon, first of all. I agree with you. He was at least my favorite on paper. But he also, it feels weird with Jalen Hurts' skill set or wants and needs, and that is true. We can have another conversation later date about Jalen Hurts, but he doesn't seem to fit. Like, Jalen wants to run it or he wants to throw it deep, like tush push. Like,
that's true.
There's nothing in the middle. There's no slant screens, all that stuff, which is what Mekhi Lemon is very good at, over the middle and all that, which feels weird.
That's a good point. Jalen never throws intermediate routes, and that's what this kid does. So that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but we'll see. Yeah, he's going to be good.
We'll see how it works, but I like Mekhi Lemon, the player. He seems insane if you've ever heard him talk or in any kind of interview. He seems like a psychopath, but I kind of like my receivers to be a little crazy.
Yeah.
The Steelers take an offensive tackle. That's what they need. Build in the trenches. Good for the Steelers.
Yeah.
That's the best I can say for them. Y'all need to lose some games this year.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The Chargers take a pass rusher. Chargers are a team that's kind of good everywhere and kind of has needs everywhere, which is a weird way to put the Chargers, but I like them taking an edge rusher.
They lost a couple guys up front in free agency, so this made sense. I mean, I kind of figured they were going to go there. I thought they might actually trade up, but they just felt good about where they were at, and so
yeah. I like it for the Chargers. We already talked about Cowboys with Lawrence. We already talked about Concepcion. The Chicago Bears take a safety.
I mean, they didn't have any left. They lost everybody. Like,
Jonathan Owens leave
now
too?
They brought in everybody. Yeah, Owens left. Like they lost 5 or 6 defensive back rotation pieces. So they brought in Kobe Durant, I believe, and then they bring in this guy. So they just had to do it. And I think this guy needs to be good for them. Last year we talked about it when we talked about them. Like, their offense kind of carried them. Their defense was not good yardage or points wise, but they were pretty good. They were really good at turnovers. Like, their defense need to take a step up. I still think their playoff run was a little overrated with what they accomplished. They were not like an A-list contender this year. So their defense need to take a step up, and with the players they lost, they need this kid to be good almost right away.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, Chicago to me is one of those teams that's weird because they did seem to overachieve this year. So the 25th pick doesn't feel right for where they should be right now. But if this guy's good, it won't matter. But yeah. Texans. Thank goodness they take an offensive lineman.
They had to. I mean, good gracious.
Golly, man.
And I think, this is the second guard taken. Yeah, so they had their pick, take the second guard, and they needed it. And gosh, that offense, that defense, I don't think it'll be as good as it was last year, but they're still going to be really good. So CJ, it's all about CJ. Yes. Literally all about CJ this year. I saw reports that Nico Collins was being floated out there as trade bait. Texans, you can't do it. Is Nico Collins a top 5 receiver in the league? No. But my goodness, this whole season is about CJ. You cannot be trading weapons at this point.
No, it's all about this is make or break for CJ Stroud. So the defense is set. We do not need to talk about the defense. Their sole focus is the offense right now in CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Chris Johnson, that's a name I haven't heard in a minute. But not the running back, the old late lightning
different
bolt.
Chris Johnson.
Yeah. The Miami Dolphins trade up for him, which I thought was a little odd, but anyway, they trade up with San Francisco, who did not make a first-round pick. San Francisco traded out. Multiple times, I think. So there's that. Again, we've already said this with Miami that just get players. That's all they need. The Patriots. This one could be interesting because they take an offensive tackle.
This is a little interesting.
It's interesting. There's been a lot of Will Campbell talk after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're after the entire playoff run, they are saying they're keeping him at tackle. Their actions may say different. He's the type of guy that could be an elite guard. And at the end of the day, though, the 10th best tackle in the league is more valuable than the best guard. So they want to stick him at tackle. I don't know what this pick means. I don't know if this is insurance for next year in case they do have to. They're going to try Will Campbell out one more year, and if they have to move him next year, I don't know what their thought process is here, but it will be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, it just creates a fascinating storyline. That's all this pick does. I don't know much about the player. I hope he's good for the Patriots' sake. I hope he's good, but we know what the storyline is, and that's Will Campbell. So,
yeah,
the Chiefs. This is the first round pick they got from the trade with the Rams. They take a defensive tackle.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe he's good. He's from Clemson, so that means I didn't watch him.
Yeah, he seems to be a really high upside player. He's the type of guy that I think this time last year, right after last year's draft, people were projecting him to go in the top 10 picks. And then he just kind of didn't take off like people thought he would. So apparently they see him as a guy who there's a lot left there, a lot that the Clemson coaching staff didn't get out of him that maybe they can. Maybe Spags has something for him. I don't know. But he's I think he's a pretty low floor possibly because he hasn't developed, but also a high ceiling guy. And, again, I know they were down last year, but you don't win 2 Super Bowls and go to 3 Super Bowls without being able to develop players. And I think they just see a guy they might can develop into something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really, I agree with you. That's where I'm at with the Chiefs. I'll trust them. Let's see how it works out. We already talked about Omar Cooper. The Titans did have a second first-round pick. I kind of forgot about it. They traded for pass rusher from Auburn, Keldrick Falk. Again, I don't know much about him, but the Titans need as much as they can get, so they get a receiver and they get a pass rusher. Let's see where it goes.
Right. I feel kind of the same way that I did. I didn't talk about Chris Johnson with the Dolphins. I've never heard of Chris Johnson in my life until the draft, but I like when I see defensive coaches trade up for guys like that. To me, that just signals they see something that they like, that fits with their system, that's going to work with what they want to do. So I'm gonna trust Saleh with this one, with his Auburn edge. I mean, he's like the 5th or 6th edge taken, but you know, I feel like him being there and them trading up signals like they thought they could take Tate at 104 because they thought they might be able to trade up and get this guy later, and so I don't know. I like it. I'm gonna trust him.
Yeah. And then the last pick of the first round, the second Notre Dame running back taken, which is crazy. Jadarian Price goes to the Seahawks, which, I guess that's Kenneth Walker's replacement. This is something they have been known to do in the past. They did have, like right after Kenneth Walker established himself as one of the better running backs in the league, they take Zach Charbonnet in the second round, and now they let Walker go. Charbonnet's come off the ACL, so they said, hey, we got this guy here. We like him. I don't care if it's a first-round pick. And they take Jadarian Price, which will give him the option for a 5th year. So this is a team that drafts well. This is the team that has drafted well for the past 4, 5, 6 years, which is how they won a Super Bowl. So it's hard not to trust them.
Draft very well. Yeah, and the thing about Price, and the more I've thought about this, the Seattle Seahawks backfield is so frustrating as a fantasy manager, and like it's like 50-50 right down the middle split, and it drives you crazy. But I was thinking about it. One thing is, Charbonnet's coming off an ACL, so are they going to give this kid more runway because of that? And maybe once Charbonnet's healthy, they're going to use him a lot too. Charbonnet is in the last year of his deal, is another thing. And how much of the 50-50 direct split was Clint Kubiak? Like, he went to Vegas and immediately said, we need to bring in somebody for Genty. I don't remember even who that was or if they did that, but he said that almost right away. And I was like, I wonder if it was all him that wanted that in Seattle. Now that he's gone, I don't know the new OC's tendencies. I don't know if he feels the same way or what the deal is there, but I don't know. Maybe this guy will get, more run. He's obviously a really good player. I think he's a legitimate first-round talent.
It's crazy how he's one of those guys.
One of the reasons
you have to trust the film guys on him because the analytics aren't there.
Yeah.
Because he was behind Jeremiah, like he was behind a generational talent, like he was behind a Bijan Gibbs type of player, Saquon. So the numbers don't say it, but the tape says it.
And I love that. I love guys that didn't have the most tread on the tires from college. So that's great news for me. I think that's only a plus if you like the film. So I don't know.
Yeah, I like it. The only other thing I guess to touch on for the first round is this. I know that they traded out of it. Did San Francisco trade out twice? And I know Buffalo traded out like 2 or 3 times because they traded down. With Houston, then they traded down with the Patriots, then they took that pick and traded out of the first round completely. So they picked up a lot of 4th round help, which is what they needed, which I like for Buffalo. Everybody's like, well, you have all this talk, you get Joe Brady, you fire your guy. Don't you think you need to take a first round guy? No, they have plenty of help on the offense. Like you have Josh Allen, you got a good offensive line. They needed the help just to build out players. They need a good team, and they just need help, especially on the defense. So I like them just saying, hey, screw it. We don't need to trade up or do this, that, or the other. We just need a bulk of guys. So that's what they did. So I like it.
Yeah, I love that. And especially in this draft where people seem to think that, there's not a huge difference in the talent at pick 25 versus the talent at pick 45. So when that's the case and you don't have a strong conviction, if you're able to trade down and add players, that it's always going to help your team. So
yeah.
You know what's crazy though? Half the guys we just talked about are not going to work out. Out of the league in a few years.
Oh yeah.
And I'm pulling for all these guys. I hope they're all good, other than the Eagles and Cowboys guys, and they're just some of them are just not going to work.
Yeah.
But there's no
way
way to
we're
know who
talking
that
about
is.
this is like every player works out, and here's how he helps the team what they're thinking. But yeah, it's like you said, it just doesn't happen a lot of times.
Yep.
You got a 50-50 shot.
Yep,
in the top 10, it's a little bit better, but after that, I mean, it's truly a 50-50 shot. The only players I weirdly enough feel confident in are the running backs. Just like running backs just work out, especially in the first round.
Yeah.
That's the only position really.
And the guards.
Yeah.
Running backs and guards just work out. Yeah. So
we'll see. This is like the big moment of the offseason, and it was very exciting. Enjoyed it.
Yep.
And now we enter the very, very, very long wait of the offseason for the NFL. It's too long. There'll be a few things, a lot, trades and stuff that happen. The June 1st deadline is a big deal. Obviously, that's when A.J. Brown's expected to move. That's when I think a lot of salary stuff happens for the league, so we'll see moves and things happen at that point too. But that's kind of your next big moment, I guess, of the offseason. But now we wait.
Now we wait.
Hope all dynasty drafts go well for you guys. I know I've got a few starting soon, which I have no picks in, but
yeah,
I'm the commissioner of a couple leagues, so it has to happen.
Nice.
Yep. All right. That's all we got for you guys. We will catch you in the next one. Enjoy your off season, and we'll grit it through together.